Hello and welcome to today's webinar, Resumes. My name is Amalinda Rosito, pronouns she, her, hers, and I'm the Associate Director for Programming and Internal Relations with the UConn Center for Career Development. In this video, we'll cover resume basics, including what is a resume, types of resumes, and resume guidelines. We'll go through the required and recommended categories you should have on your resume. Then we'll get into bullet point statements covering what they are and how to write them. Lastly, we'll discuss what makes an effective resume. First, we'll go over the basics of a resume. A resume is a document that presents critical and relevant information to the reader, which could be an employer or a graduate school. It's typically a one-page document that highlights your educational background, experiences, accomplishments, skills, and interests, though it could be longer depending on your industry and depth of experiences. It's the most important document in marketing yourself professionally, so you want to make a good first impression. The goal of a resume is to get an interview, and the interview is what gets you the position. There are three types of resumes: a master resume, an industry-oriented resume, and a resume you tailor for specific positions. The length and content of each depends on the audience. Your master resume is a document that you use for yourself to keep track of everything you've done. Since it's just for you, it can be as long as you want or need it to be. From there, you can pick and choose the most relevant experiences to create a tailored 1- or 2-page resume for a specific position. An industry-oriented resume is a more narrow version of your master resume that is tailored to a specific industry or field. Your industry-oriented resume is still for yourself, but instead of including everything on your master resume, it includes just the most relevant content for that industry. From there, you can make small adjustments to your industry resume in order to tailor it to a specific position. When you are creating a resume, we have some general rules that you should follow. An undergraduate resume should be 1 page in length. In some fields and for graduate program applications, a 2-page resume may be standard, so students in these fields may have a longer resume. Margins should be 1/2 inch to 1 inch. The margins you choose should be the same on each side of the page. Your font should be within 10.5 and 12. This may vary for your name as well as section headings. You'll want to choose an easy-to-read font that is commonly found on most computers. This includes Times New Roman, Garamond, Arial, or Calibri. All of these are really good choices. Be consistent with formatting. Each experience and activity you include on your resume should include what we call the core 4. That includes the organization, location, position title, and dates of involvement formatted in months and years. Be consistent with using bold and italics. In the example shown, all of the organizations are bolded and position titles are italicized. Avoid abbreviations except states as well as industry-specific programs and certifications such as CPR and SPSS. Do not use templates, grids, or tables to format your resume. When using a template, you run the risk of your resume looking like another applicant's if they use the same template. Plus, templates are harder to customize if you want to include more tailored content. Additionally, many applications require online submissions and use computer software called applicant tracking systems to scan your resume for keywords. This software does not read templates, grids, or tables very well and might reject your resume simply because it can't read it. Lastly, your resume should not have any typos or errors. Do not rely solely on spell check. Now we'll go over the basic categories included on a resume. An employer will look at a resume anywhere from 6 to 30 seconds before putting it in a yes, no, or maybe pile. Therefore, it is really important to make a good first impression to maximize your chances of being sorted into the yes pile. Notice how this resume, the sections are easy to find, the information is well organized, and the document is pleasing to the eye. We'll go into each of these sections more in depth. Your contact information should be at the top of your document. List your full name in larger, bold font. Include your mailing address. Remember, only states are abbreviated in this section, so be sure to spell things out such as road, street, or drive. You may use either your campus address or your home address, but only pick one. Pick one that's easiest to reach you at or shows proximity to the opportunity you're applying to. For example, if your home address is Norwich, Connecticut, and you're applying to summer internships in Norwich, it wouldn't be beneficial for you to use your Stanford campus address. You also want to list your phone number and be sure to have an appropriate voicemail set up. List your email, and we recommend that you use your UConn campus email because it's professional and it also affiliates you with a top university. If you prefer to use a different email address, it should be professional, like the Gmail address listed in the example. If you have a LinkedIn profile, you can list your URL here. After your contact information, you may choose to include an objective statement. Though optional, an objective statement is a great way to really tailor your resume to a specific position and highlight relevant skills you possess and will demonstrate in your bullet point statements. Objective statements contain three parts. They list the position or title you are applying for, they include the field, industry, or company, and they list 2 to 3 transferable skills that you possess that are relevant to the position. These skills can generally be found in the position's description. Transferable skills are abilities, attributes, and personal qualities that someone possesses and can be used across industry lines. Some examples of transferable skills include administrative skills, interpersonal skills, leadership skills, and verbal and written communication skills. Because you can develop these skills at one experience, like volunteering at a hospital, and use them at another experience, like a summer internship or a job after graduation. The next section on your resume is the education section. Include University of Connecticut fully spelled out. Do not abbreviate it to UConn. List the location. Below that, include your degree, major, and graduation date in month and year. If you are in the ACES program, you may list your major as undeclared, and if you have one, you may list emerging academic interests below. Below your degree, you may also list your GPA out of a 4.0 scale, particularly if it is a 3.0 or above. You can also list any honors or scholarships. This is also where you may want to list education abroad experiences or relevant coursework. If you are a first-year student or sophomore, you may list your high school education information below the University of Connecticut. Be sure to list the school name, location, high school diploma as the degree, and your graduation month and year. This information should be removed by your junior year to emphasize your more relevant college experiences. After your education section, you may have one or more sections for experience and activities. You may include jobs, internships, volunteer work, club memberships, and other activities both paid and unpaid. Each experience should be formatted consistently, including the core four, which as a reminder is the organization, location, your title, and the time period you were there in months and years. You may list present as the end date if you are still engaged in the experience. If this is a seasonal experience that you have held over multiple years, like a job that you worked during summer and breaks, you can put seasonal in parentheses next to the dates on the right. Below each experience, you may choose to include bullet point statements to highlight what you did at the job or the activity. Within each section, each experience and activity should be listed in reverse chronological order, meaning you will list the most recent position first. When ordering positions, order according to the end dates first. If you have multiple positions with the same end date, use the starting date to determine the order. For example, a position from May 2017 to August 2017 would come before a position from January 2017 to August 2017 because May 2017 is more recent than January 2017. The skills section lists hard skills or technical skills, which are defined as measurable. This could include computer, language, laboratory, as well as certifications. These types of skills can be demonstrated to an employer through a certification or test of ability. For instance, if an employer asks you to create a PowerPoint for a presentation, they will immediately know if you have the necessary skills based on your ability to complete the task. Your resume is your document that you can customize to fit your experiences and tailor for the position you're applying for. There are all sorts of other sections you can include, such as leadership experience, research experience, military experience, volunteer experience, practicum, or clinical experience. You can also include academic projects or interests. Once you have the formatting and sections of your resume, you'll want to focus on writing bullet point statements. Bullet point statements are 1 to 2 lines that describe what you accomplished or learned in a certain experience. They are one of the most crucial components of your resume because they allow the employer or the reader to understand how your experiences relate to the opportunity you're applying to. They also describe the quality of your work and showcase your transferable skills. There are some general guidelines you should follow when writing bullet point statements. They should start with a strong action verb. For example, fundraised, managed, designed. These are all examples of action verbs. They are all in third person and do not contain personal pronouns like I, me, my, and their. And pay attention to verb tense. Past experiences should be in the past, and experiences you're currently engaged in should be in present tense. We typically see mistakes in verb tense when students update their resumes after ending an experience and forgetting to change verb tense from present to past. You want to keep your bullet point statements to be 1 to 2 lines, and you want to limit your bullets to 1 to 5 per experience. This will depend on the relevance and depth of the experience. Therefore, you need to get your point across in a strong, concise manner. When writing, quantify whenever possible to include how much or how many so that the reader can get a sense of the scope of the task or responsibility. Not every bullet point statement can be quantified, but do quantify if it makes sense. For example, you could include the number of people you supervised or mentored, the number of projects or presentations you completed, the average number of customers you served, or the percentage of students admitted to an honors organization you were a member of. You will have bullet point statements on your master or industry oriented resume, and then you may rework them to better fit your resume that's tailored for a specific position. Now I'm going to go over a 3-step bullet point statement activity. In our resume and cover letter guidebook, there's a worksheet that goes over this activity. You'll get an email after the webinar that includes a link to this guide, so you can try it on your own. We're going to talk more in depth about how to write bullet point statements. But first you need to think about the experience you are seeking and the required skills that you possess. This is important to helping you decide what to include in your bullet point statements. For example, Jonathan Husky is looking to work in the publishing industry in a position that needs creativity, critical thinking, editing, communication, and organizational skills. Jonathan will emphasize these skills in his bullet point statements. You can even use this as a starting point to create an objective statement based on the specific position and these skills. Next, Jonathan Husky needs to develop bullet point statements that demonstrate one or more of the transferable skills he listed above. Bullet point statements include 3 things: what, how, and why. Pretty simple. The what is the what did you do? What tasks or responsibilities did you complete? The example says read articles. The how, or how did you do it, are the skills that you use to complete the task or responsibility. Ideally, this part highlights a transferable skill you listed in step 1, but it could also be a technical skill or a hard skill, an industry-specific skill, or a specific procedure or protocol. The example says editing, communicating, writing, proofreading, and analyzing. I would consider communicating, writing, and analyzing to be transferable skills, while editing and proofreading are industry-specific skills in Jonathan Husky's publishing industry. The why is why did you do it? What was the result or the importance of the task you held? How did it lead to a positive outcome for the organization? The example says to help staff have accurate information and make sure articles were clearly understandable. When you do this activity on your own, you will want to think about an experience you would like to write or improve a bullet point statement for. Then brainstorm some task or responsibility for the what. List some of the skills you used for the how, and then write the importance of the outcome of the task for the why. Once you have your what, how, why components, you can combine them to form a whole bullet point statement. You can see that Jonathan Husky wrote several drafts before getting to a 4-star bullet point statement. Looking at the examples, his first 2-star bullet is read and edit articles to help staff write good content. This statement is very simple and does not include many details. His 3-star bullet is proofread articles and edit errors to ensure content is easily understood by the reader. This statement provides more detail, particularly in the terms of why. His 4-star bullet is proofread articles and provide staff with edits ensuring accuracy and high standards in writing. This bullet is the strongest. It includes the most detail for what, how, and why while still being concise. When you do this activity on your own, you will want to combine your what, how, and why from step 2 and write a complete bullet point statement. Remember to start with a strong action verb. Now we're going to look at some examples of bullet point statements and ways to make them better. The first example says, conducted heavy recruitment doubling membership in the organization. Now the reader might have some follow-up questions, including, what is a person recruiting for and how did they recruit members? How much recruitment is heavy recruitment? And how much is double membership? Doubling members from 2 to 4 is a different scale than doubling from 25 to 50. The next example says, responsible for mentoring 6 students to help improve academic performance. This bullet could get rid of responsible for and just start with mentor. You don't have a lot of time or space, so get to the point. How did this person mentor? Did they meet one-on-one or in a group? How often did they meet? How much did the student's academic performance improve? The last example says, develop presentations about study abroad for first-year experience courses. How many presentations? How long were the presentations? What were the format of these presentations? Study abroad is a big topic. What specifically about study abroad did the presentations cover? How many classes or people will the presentation reach? You can see that initially these bullet point statements look good, but they could be better by including more detail. Think about this when you are writing your own bullet point statements. So why is it important to have an effective resume? And how can you make your resume more effective? A well-written and formatted resume tells an employer a lot about your professionalism and improves the chances for gaining an interview. It is your responsibility to demonstrate how your academic, extracurricular, and work experiences connect to every specific position you apply to. Look at the position description and search for clues, use keywords, and draw connections. It is important to remember that a successful resume must demonstrate experiences that match what the employer's needs are. Tailoring your resume helps employers see that you match their needs, and the job description will help you tailor your resume. When you are applying to a position, take some time to read the job description and highlight or circle keywords and skills. Take a moment to read the job description and think about what keywords and skills you would highlight or circle and include on a tailored resume or cover letter for this position. What does the job description emphasize? In this example, you might highlight writing, editing, communication skills, web development programs and social media, teamwork, flexibility, accountability, and follow-through on commitments, which the last two speak to organizational and time management skills. If you were applying for this position, you would want to demonstrate to the employer that you possess these experiences, qualities, and skills in your resume. Choose a format that highlights the most relevant experiences. Highlight transferable skills in the objective statement and your bullet point statements. Include technical skills and hard skills in your skills section. After this webinar, you can continue developing your document by taking a look at our resume and cover letter guide. You will get an email after this webinar with a link to the guide, or you can pick up a copy in our office. You can also visit our website at career.uconn.edu to see even more resources to help you with your document, including Career on Demand. You can schedule an appointment for a resume or cover letter critique, and you can also meet with a career coach to discuss ways to find opportunities to gain experiences and build skills for your resume and cover letter. I'd now like to pass it on to my colleague Beth Secchi, who is going to be discussing how to build a LinkedIn profile.
In this program, we will address elements of a quality profile as well as discuss ways to have it stand out. Specifically, we will address your introduction, privacy settings, all the components of a profile, how to connect, groups, alumni search tool, and other tips. And again, be sure to send those questions throughout the webinar so I can address them at the end. Let's just do a quick refresher. LinkedIn is the largest professional social networking platform. It can be used for maintaining a professional online presence, documenting your experience, skills, and achievements. Basically, it's an extension of your resume. You can explore majors and career paths. You can engage in conversations around professional interests. You'll be able to research and follow employers. You can use LinkedIn to apply for internships, jobs, and any other type of professional opportunity you're seeking. You also can network with other alumni and key professionals. So regardless of whether you're employed, job searching, going to graduate school, or doing something else, you want to keep your LinkedIn profile current. You never know when someone will find it by doing a search, and if it is current, you're showing yourself well. I recommend checking LinkedIn 2 to 3 times a week and making comments or posting something noteworthy 2 to 3 times a month. For today's presentation, I've used screenshots from a number of LinkedIn profiles, including my own. If you already have a profile and are able to follow along while having it open, feel free to do so. Before we get into creating your profile and using LinkedIn though, I want to show you 2 privacy settings. On the top bar, click Me, and then under Account, click Settings and Privacy. On the navigation bar in the middle of the page, click Privacy. Next, I'd like you to scroll down to How Others See Your LinkedIn Activity. You will select Profile Viewing Options. When you look at someone else's LinkedIn profile, LinkedIn notifies them that someone looked at their profile. You can choose how much information LinkedIn tells that person, your full name and headline, your job title and employer, or anonymous. It can be beneficial to allow people to see your name because it lets them know you're active and engaged and can be helpful for networking. However, you should set your privacy to a level you feel comfortable with, and that might be more private, especially when you're setting up your profile. You can always go back into settings and change it. Next, I'd like you to scroll down a bit further and select Job Seeking Preferences. If you are still searching for a position, wouldn't mind learning of new opportunities, or are open to employers approaching you to apply for a position with their organization, you will want to review this category and pick the appropriate setting for your circumstances. There are many options for customizing your settings. Today we're just focusing on these two, but feel free to explore this more. Now I'm going to talk to you about profile components. Your profile serves two main roles. It's an extension of your resume because your profile can be more comprehensive than a 1 or 2 page paper document. It builds your professional reputation online. Companies will search you online through Google, people search services, and social media. Your online presence needs to be something you would be okay with an employer seeing. If you have a LinkedIn profile, it shows up first in Google search results, so you can use that to direct employers to a professional online presence. In fact, 87% of recruiters use LinkedIn to check candidates, so you want to have a strong profile for them to check. And you can see on the slide where that information is sourced. In today's webinar, I will cover the header, what makes a good summary, types of experiences to include, your educational information, skills, endorsements, and recommendations. In addition, we'll also talk about how to edit your public profile and URL. We will also review accomplishments and interests. For the accomplishments, that section includes many subcategories, including publications, courses, test scores, languages, etc. For interests, we're going to focus on influencers, companies, groups, and schools. When you set up your account, LinkedIn assigns you to a public URL. It's in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. If you have not already, you will want to go into the system and change it to just your name. Basically, you're removing extra letters and numbers. Consider if you want it hyphened or not. I don't recommend using the underscore. If you believe that others have the same name as you, you may choose to add a middle initial or full name or a small amount of numbers after your name to set it apart. Let's talk about the profile. I have a recent alum's profile on the screen to highlight a few elements. For the name, use your preferred name and make sure it matches other documents such as your resume or a cover letter. For your headline, you can identify as a UConn alum. Use a current position or even a career aspiration. You will not state, though, recent graduate seeking employment in XYZ industry. You can state aspiring marketing specialist or even a job title you want to hold but don't yet, like lab assistant or researcher. Maria chose to list her summer work experience as her header. If you don't personalize it, LinkedIn will take a current job or the most recent one you held and make the headline for you. This is not always advantageous, so be sure to take control of your headline to properly convey the message you want to send. Next will be location. List out the closest metropolitan area where you live or will be searching for opportunities. To find a different metropolitan area from where you have now, use the zip code of where you want to live, and that will give you more options. Now for your profile photo, it needs to be high quality and professional level, so no selfies or cropped photos. We don't suggest a cap and gown photo either. If you decide you want to use it, be sure to replace it by the end of summer. If you have a good camera on a cell phone, that often works well. The background can be inside or outside. Ultimately, make sure there is nothing behind you that will distract from the image you are hoping to project. For the banner photo, you can leave as the default or personalize it. As Maria is continuing on at UConn for medical school, having UConn as a banner is still acceptable. I have seen many people put their place of employment as a banner as well. For other heading info, you will list your most recent experience in school. This automatically pulls down from other sections within LinkedIn. Contact information. List UConn email address if you feel comfortable because it does not expire. The connections number shows how many people you have connected with, and you are able to see more because you have more second connections. Next is your summary. This is an online version of an elevator pitch. You get the chance to highlight background, skills, interests, and future goals, and it can be written in first or third person. You can indicate in here, though, your intentions, whereas before in the headline you could not as much. You'll highlight cool aspects of your UConn experience, noting the skills that are applicable to your field of interest. If you're undecided about what to do for your first job, are considering multiple industries, then be sure to pick transferable skills versus ones that are super technical and related to only one field. Your summary can be a few paragraphs long, but at this point in time, I would suggest no more than 2. The opening line will ideally catch the reader's attention, encouraging them to continue reading about you. In the profile components, there's also an experience section. Work and internship experience goes in it. Maria has content in some, but not all of her roles. As her current one is so new, she does not yet have the bullet point statements listed. Remember to not copy directly from your resume, since you can use personal pronouns and elaborate a bit more in LinkedIn. You also typically going to get to tailor for specific roles on LinkedIn, so keep that in mind as you elect to write your description. Consider focusing on your essential transferable skills. The idea is to engage the reader and provide more insight into who you are and what you can offer, since it is not going to be as tailored as the resume. Double check that you have end dates on any experience connected to UConn that has in fact ended. As we continue with the profile components, now we're going to talk about education, licenses, and volunteering. So in education, your school needs to be listed for the University of Connecticut. Use the main one, no campus or school college affiliation, in order to optimize searchability. For the degree, you'll spell out your exact Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Science, maybe Master of Arts, Doctor of Philosophy, etc. Use those pre-populated options, again, to optimize searchability. Your field of study refers to a major. You can also use the pre-populated options. Grade refers to your GPA. Under activities and societies, you can list clubs and activities here, or below in accomplishments, the organization section, which I'll show you in a little bit. Years, when you started at UConn to when you graduated. Description, you can add other information here like a minor, if you did an individualized major, a major concentration, etc. Now for licenses and certifications, if you have any that are current, this is where you will list them. If you don't have any and it is not necessary for your career interests and aspirations, you would not complete this section. For volunteer experience, Maria chose to list out one of her main volunteer experiences as it is so related to her career aspirations. So even though it ended a few years ago, she did it for a long time and shows continuity in her career path. On my profile, I have volunteering as well, even though the experiences are not connected to my career. Instead, they show I have a commitment to my community and am well-rounded. You decide on your profile how you want to be represented. In your profile, you can talk about skills and endorsements. For your skills, you can list out both technical and transferable skills. You can add skills by clicking the Add a New Skills notation. You can edit existing skills as well as rearrange their order by clicking on the pencil. LinkedIn will categorize the skills for you. You decide which 3 to highlight at the top by checking or unchecking the thumbtack icon next to all of your skills when you are in edit mode. The other part is endorsements. You can ask people to endorse you, or you can endorse others when you are connected and you are endorsing the skills. Endorsements carry some weight, but not as much as recommendations. However, you will want to try and build up the number of endorsements that you receive, if at all possible. The next part of your profile are those recommendations. These are usually a few sentences to 1 paragraph long. You can ask for one, or someone might approach you to give you one. You can choose to accept it or not. You will want to make sure it represents you well and is written well. Putting up a recommendation with spelling or grammar errors will not be an asset to your profile. Now, recommendations carry more weight than endorsements. If you're asking for a letter of recommendation, you can also ask the recommender if they would add the recommendation to your LinkedIn profile. Remember, it's only 2 or 3 sentences. Whenever I ask for one, I approach the person with a specific recommendation in mind so they don't have to figure out what to emphasize, such as, do I have talent in resume writing or giving presentations? If you don't have any, now is a good time to approach folks to write something for you. Think of your club advisors, your faculty, supervisors at UConn, even former classmates you worked on projects with will all be assets. If someone offers to write you one, you may elect to offer one back as well. And recommendations carry more weight than endorsements because they involve more work and thought. For the next part of your profile, we're going to look at your accomplishments. As you can see, there are numerous categories such as publication, courses, test scores, languages that you speak, and so on. In this example, there are 2 different profiles highlighted. The top one indicates both courses and languages. So if the career interest you have matches some of the courses you've taken, it makes sense to put them in. And if you do speak multiple languages, it's also noteworthy. The second example has some honors and awards, an organization that the student belonged to, as well as a group project the student participated in. This next part of your profile covers your interests. So this section includes influencers, companies, groups, and schools. So influencers are people like Bill Gates. They have a large following and are influential in their field. You may choose to follow companies to show interest and stay up on what they post. You may decide to join groups to see what's going on in your field and to connect with other members. And we will discuss groups more thoroughly later. Lastly, you can follow schools you've attended or are interested in attending in the future. Now it's time to start thinking about groups you can join. There are different categories such as affinity, professional organizations, and interests. Now, value of networking is critical with LinkedIn because most positions are not advertised and are part of what's known as the hidden job market. Even if the position is advertised, your best chance at getting hired is if you are personally referred. So LinkedIn is such a powerful tool because it allows you to connect with others and build your network. So an affinity group is a group that you can join that has a certain classification like UConn alumni, Center for Career Development UConn, UConn CLAS students. A professional organization is another way to identify, such as the American Physical Therapy Association. Lastly, you may categorize with interests such as research, methodology, marketing, statistics, and the social sciences. So it can get pretty specific. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of groups to consider joining. There are numerous ways to search for groups. I'm going to show you one way. So you will type in the search term and click the magnifying glass. I am using UConn as an example. In the top Search Filters tab, you will click More and select Groups. As you can see, I typed in Lincoln in the search box and a list of UConn groups appeared. I'm going to use the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences as an example. It shows out a number of members, which is over 3,000. It shows connections that I already have in the group. Apparently, I am connected to about 100 people in this group already. It also gives an explanation about what the group does. You can start conversations with people in the group, you can follow people in this group, and sometimes job positions will be posted through the groups. They are very valid and valuable to be a part of. Once you go into a group, you can see the news feed of conversations from the members. This is a screenshot from a professional association group where I am a member. You can like comments with the thumbs up, as well as write your own comments if a topic resonates with you. This is an excellent, low-risk way to establish yourself within LinkedIn. If I clicked on the number of members, and in this example it's 99 plus, I will be able to connect to people who are not first connections because we are in a group together. In addition, LinkedIn only lets you message people directly that you're connected with. But a workaround is that you can also message anyone you're in a group with. If you want to message someone you're not connected with, you can see if you have any groups in common or see if you can join a group they're in. It can be valuable to be connected to friends, family, classmates, and colleagues, even if they're not in the same field as you. For example, someone you know in a different field may be connected to someone they know that's in your field that you want to talk to. You can also reach out to people you don't know directly. Here's how. So first you're going to go into the LinkedIn search page and you're going to connect with the person by writing their name in the profile, and you're going to click Connect. You will also write a note. If the person is someone you don't know well, you can use the example that's on the screen now. And if it's someone you know better, you can be a little more casual. If for some reason there's not a blue Connect button, sometimes the option to connect is hidden under the More button. A few tips. We don't recommend you use mobile devices as they don't always allow for personal notes, so you want to try to always connect from a desktop or a laptop. Ultimately, your goal is to expand connections, though it's not like Facebook or Instagram where you want to get thousands of friends or followers. You want to grow it with people you know when at all possible, as well as those you could help or potentially help you. Examples of what to say to a new connection are in the Center for Career Development's Resume and Cover Letter Guidebook, which is available off the center's website. Here's a demonstration on how to connect. Terry is someone who spoke at a conference I recently attended. After her presentation, I went up and introduced myself to her. Now I want to be connected on LinkedIn, so I hit this connect button. As you can see, I get the opportunity to customize the invitation, so I click on Add a Note. This is the note I wrote to her. Terry, I briefly met you after the Eastern ACE conference. I enjoyed your comments as part of the closing panel and would like to connect with you via LinkedIn. Thank you, Beth Secchi. And then I hit Send Invitation. Here are some other tips. As you know, LinkedIn is a business and they do want to make money, and one of the ways they do that is through paid premium accounts. However, we at the Career Center know a lot of ways to do what the premium account does, and we'll show you how to do it for free, either through LinkedIn or even through another platform. So before paying for a premium account, consider meeting with one of the career coaches to discuss what you're looking to do and see if we can help you do that for free. Following this webinar, there's going to be a blog post and an email sent out to all participants, encouraging people to use LinkedIn even at a deeper level. Just want to remind you that LinkedIn has a job search function. It is located on the top navigation bar under Jobs. There is so much more to do to LinkedIn besides what I've shown you today, and you can definitely, as I said, schedule an appointment with one of us either in person, on the phone, or virtually, so we can go into more depth to make sure your profile is as strong as it can be and so you can use it to your full advantage.
All right, that concludes our presentation on resumes and LinkedIn. As a reminder, you can schedule an appointment with our office. We are currently offering phone and virtual appointments. We encourage you to schedule an appointment to talk about your resume, LinkedIn, or any other career-related questions you have. We also help with graduate school applications as well. If you have any questions, please email them to us, and have a great day.